taste. I'm reviewing it as a part of the weird movie series, but it's not that weird of a movie. What's really weird about this movie is the story behind it and who directed it. This film, this bloody, low-budget horror comedy, comes from Peter Jackson, the New Zealand director who's more famous for his work in the Lord of the Rings adaptations. That Peter Jackson is also this Peter Jackson, as well as that Peter Jackson. He plays two characters in this movie, which he directed, wrote, starred in, produced, I guess you can say. He made the costumes for it, and this is pretty much, it's not his first film. It's his first finished. His films before that were actually really low budget. Lots of them he shot with his friends when he was a kid, set through the 70s and the 80s. And then he made Bad Taste, which started off as a 10-minute short, and it just grew bigger and bigger, and it took him 4 years to complete the movie, actually. So there was lots of effort that went into this movie, and that's really the most interesting thing about this movie, who the director is, and how this is how he got started, and how much effort he put into this movie. Peter Jackson made Bad Taste with it started off with, I think, 6 of his friends, and it kind of grew out a little bit more, but not really that much, just pretty much people in his neighborhood. And the reason why he didn't finish a lot of his films before this was because his ideas were too big for his microscopic budget. But as this filming went along, he actually became funded by the New Zealand Film Institute, because there are pretty much not too many directors in New Zealand. So they saw the work he did, and they were impressed by it, and they started funding him. And the work that he did before he started getting funded and started making the film more professional looking is actually pretty impressive. Before that, he made all of the dollies, the tracks, the crane for the camera. He made the costumes for the aliens in his mother's oven, and because the oven was too small, the head of the alien was actually bent backwards, and that wasn't originally planned. It was just because the oven was too small, so that's how the aliens looked in the end. He even made replicas of, he made the replica of the house where a lot of the film was taking place, because in the film, they actually had to blow up one side of the house. So since there was an actual historical homestead and they couldn't blow that up, they actually made a replica of that house, and they just blew it up. And they also made a replica of a car, I believe, and they also just blew it up. And they did not blow up the sheep. So yeah, a lot of the gore was actually made with either fake stuff, latex kind of rubbery stuff, or actual animal products like sheep brains and stuff to give it more of a realistic effect. And of course, at certain points they used real bullets and real guns, but at other points the guns were actually just replicas, which Peter Jackson also built by hand. So there was a lot of work and effort that Peter Jackson put into this film, working pretty much by himself and with 6 of his friends that he just bossed around pretty much and made this film with. And like I mentioned, this film was kind of made up as it went along, and that made for a lot of continuity errors, especially since it was filmed over 4 years. For instance, one of the characters has curly hair, and then in the next shot they don't have curly hair because it wasn't filmed in chronological order, and since it was being made up as it went along, and Peter Jackson kept on getting all these different ideas, and he kind of went on these different tangents. There was supposed to be a scene with a rabid sheep, and he kind of cut out a whole bunch of footage because that didn't make sense. And so that it's kind of the plot is kind of like just jumbled together from whatever footage that he got, and that's kind of what's endearing about this film, is how it was put together and how it was made over 4 years, and you can kind of tell that it was made over 4 years, and that Peter Jackson kind of got better and got more funding as he went along, because in one scene you will see very poor special effects, while in the next you see very well done special effects, and since the footage is non-chronological order. Another thing about Bad Taste, which is so interesting, is Peter Jackson took it like really seriously, even though it's really just a silly movie. when filming. He paid a lot of attention to detail. For instance, he would tell his friends who were playing these characters that when they were shooting guns, they had to blink while they were shooting, because in real life, when you shoot a gun, you blink. You can't help yourself. You just start blinking. And it's that attention to detail which is really sets apart a good director from a bad director. And it's so now that I talked a lot about the making of the film, what exactly is Bad Taste about? And like I said, the plot was put together over years. There was never a script for it. He just kept on getting ideas and made them into a film. And pretty much what it is, it started off as a story about this collector, and he ends up meeting a bunch of cannibals. And that was the original story. And as more ideas were added on, these cannibals ended up being aliens. And what it's about is these aliens come and invade Earth, and they kill every person in this town and package them up into boxes for fast food. And so this government department formed of 4 guys is sent in to deal with the aliens, and they shoot them up. And the government department is called the Astro Invasion Defense Services or something like that, which of course spells out AIDS, which kind of brings me to another point I wanted to make about this movie, and it's the comedy. Most of the comedy in this movie is visual comedy. There's not too much there in terms of dialogue. There's some witty dialogue, but there's not much there that's really exactly funny. Like I said with the AIDS reference and how they want to change that name because it spells out AIDS. And there's also some references I didn't get because you would have to kind of be a New Zealander to get, like how they think it wouldn't be such a bad thing if the aliens invaded Auckland. And so yeah, there's that. All in all, very enjoyable film to watch and to kind of watch to see the undertones of Peter Jackson's later genius and expertise coming through, just as in The Evil Dead you can kind of see Raimi's genius coming through. Actually, they're very similar, and Evil Dead kind of inspired Peter Jackson. That being said, the ultimate early Peter Jackson film to watch for horror comedy is Dead Alive, which perhaps I'll review that one soon too. So there you have it. Bad Taste. Goodbye.